Let's go back to how Emeka's days became poetry, and isime was the song, before the wedding night. Every morning, he fetched water not for himself, but for her. He stopped buying food from the roadside. Instead, he waited for isime to cook or even to suggest a place they could eat together. He began spending less time with his friends and more time writing her poems, sending her little notes wrapped in ribbons, and picking flowers. Even though Lagos had none, he found plastic ones in shops on the island. Every evening, Emeka would sit outside her compound under the streetlight, just hoping to catch a glimpse of her shadow. When she stepped out, maybe to throw away water or to check something, his heart would drum in his chest like a masquerade in full performance. "Isime," he said one quiet evening, standing close enough to smell the citrus in her perfume, "if love were a drum, my heart would beat until it burst." She laughed, her voice as soft as sugar melting in hot gari. But in her eyes was fear, a flicker, a shadow she couldn't hide. "I like you, Emeka," she said, her voice suddenly gentle. "But I must remind you, there are boundaries I cannot cross." He nodded solemnly. "No touching before marriage," he said, repeating her own rule back to her. "And I will wait. I will wait for as long as you need." The engagement. The weeks flew by like kites in Harmattan breeze. Emeka proposed to her with a simple gold ring and a heartfelt speech. She said yes, not with loud screams or tears, but with a whisper, almost like a confession. Even isime couldn't tell if she said yes out of love or loneliness. Still, the city rejoiced. Social media lit up. Isime the Beautiful was finally going to settle down. People were curious about the lucky man. Some even joked, "I hope he's strong enough to handle all that beauty." But no one knew what beauty could truly cost. The wedding day. The wedding was held at a beachside event center on Lagos Island. The sun was bright. The sea was calm. Guests were glittering osoebi in peach and gold, and isime looked like a goddess sculpted by divine hands. Her massive figure-8 shape was barely hidden under her pearl-stone gown, and her lace front wig fell in perfect waves down her back. Emeka looked proud, radiant in agbada, a wide smile plastered across his face. He felt like the luckiest man in all of Nigeria. Traditional dramas played. The MC cracked jokes. There was dancing, laughter, and the sweet clinking of wine glasses. Isime's smile never touched her eyes, though. There was something distant in her spirit. She kissed Emeka lightly during the couple's dance. But even then, her fingers trembled. The wedding night. Their new home was modest, a cozy luxury hotel in Victoria Island. Emeka carried her in, gently placing her feet on the tiled floor. "You don't have to be afraid," he whispered. "You are mine now. And I am yours." Isime hesitated. The shadows danced on the wall as the small oil lamp flickered. The room was silent, the kind of silence that waits to break. "I think we should rest," she said. But Emeka smiled and kissed her forehead. "I've waited for so long. Let me love you, gently." She could no longer escape. With slow, trembling fingers, she turned her back to him and removed her gown. The fabric whispered as it slid to the floor. She turned around, fully exposed. And then, the room went still. At first, Emeka was silent. Then his expression changed. His smile fell. His eyes widened. He blinked. Once. Twice. And then he screamed. A loud, piercing scream that shook the very walls. "My eyes! My eyes!" he cried out, stumbling backwards, hands clawing at his face. He twisted and turned, knocking over the oil lamp. Shadows leaped across the walls like spirits. Isime rushed to him, panicked. "Emeka! What's wrong?" But he could no longer hear her. His world had turned black. Just like that, Emeka, joyful, loving Emeka, was blind. The neighbors came running. In Lagos, screams are not ignored. They burst in with flashlights and torch apps on their phones. They found Emeka on the ground, wailing, clawing at the air. They found Isam crying, naked and confused, curled in a corner of the room. What happened? What did she do to him? He was fine before. Suspicion filled the room like smoke. An elderly woman standing by the doorway whispered, "Did I not say this kind of beauty is dangerous?" No one had answers. No one understood what had just happened. By morning, Isam was gone. She didn't wait for explanations. She didn't bother to explain. She left her wedding beads and dress folded neatly on the edge of the bed. She walked into the rising sun, her sandals tapping the streets of Lagos, leaving behind a man who could no longer see, and a secret too dangerous to be spoken aloud. Emeka never saw the light again. He lived in silence, in shadows. And Isam. She became a ghost in the city, a woman of beauty and whispers, whose curse was only beginning to unfold.